Welcome to Scary Stories from the Rez, the podcast where we explore the eerie and the unknown through the stories of those who have lived it. I'm your host, Meagan Howard-Gibbon, and today I have a very special guest. In this episode, we are diving into the world of ghost hunting with none other than Daniel Soares, the host of the paranormal investigation show Phantom Rivers. Daniel has a deep passion for uncovering the supernatural. Is Daniel from a Rez? Well, no, he's Portuguese. I've asked him to join me on my podcast to talk about his ghost hunting experiences, the tools he uses on his investigations, and what drives his fascination with the paranormal. So, grab your EMF detectors and get ready for a thrilling journey into the unknown. Daniel, welcome to the show. Can you start by telling us what first piqued your interest in ghost hunting?
Well, I think growing up, like a lot of people, you've always seen the ghost hunting shows, and it just looks like a lot of fun. And then from there, you kind of start noticing things about your own community and learning more about history. And eventually, I feel like to be a ghost, you just have to hit the tipping point of like, I just got to do this. Like, this looks like so fun. I got to do this for myself, figure out what's going on, what I can find out. And so it is very niche. I don't think you hear a lot of people that get into ghost hunting right away for that. I think in the time, just before I was about to make it, StoryHive had a grant for it, and I had already some of the equipment and then already all the drive to go and do it. And eventually I'm like, this is it. If I'm going to do it, this is going to be the opportunity. And I put it in the idea, not knowing if they were going to pick it or not. And then I got a huge surprise that they actually picked up the ghost hunting idea that I had. And at that point, it's like, oh, it's happening. I have to do this now. And that kind of was the start of Phantom Rivers.
Yeah, so what our guests may not know is that you're my fiance and
Yes.
that we worked on Phantom Rivers together for quite a few episodes, but not all of them. So what was, when you started ghost hunting, what did you do when you started getting into it?
So I think getting into it, the first thing I thought of was the TV shows and how you need to get all the equipment, you need to get everything with lights, everything with beeps and all of that. But looking more into it, it was more about the mediums and how it can make you feel and how these types of supernatural occurrences affect people. And I think even since the show, talking to some mediums, I think that's something that I would have liked to include more in the show, where I think it being the first show that I did, there were some haunted places that I read about, but because there was so much emotion tied into it, I didn't think I would be able to do it justice. Doing it myself and being so new, to give it the respectful hunt that it deserved. So at that time, I kept it with very simple ghost stories. So if I did it again, I would absolutely partner more with mediums and find ways to bring in more of the human experience of being in those supernatural areas.
Did you experience anything supernatural while you were filming Phantom Rivers?
Yes. The one where I was actually expecting the most activity got the least, which was at Sister Rock and Gem, where the owner was there with us, and we had so many great stories going into it. Like, when we were researching it, I went into the business, kind of looking to kind of fumble my way through the conversation. Like, hey, do you mind if we do a ghost hunt in your business? And right away, even as soon as we told her, she's like, oh yeah, weird stuff happen here all the time. Like, there's a Victorian girl that people seen on the steps. We got a light that flickers back and forth here. People have seen just like a shadowed figure in the door at night, and we're like, whoa, okay, yes, this is fantastic. Will you be on one of our episodes? We would love to have you. And so when we jumped into there, that's where I was expecting. I'm like, this is the money shot. This is going to be all the ghost activity. And nothing happened there. And even while we were there, Sue was with us, and she's like, I don't know what's happening. They're doing this on purpose. They're not doing anything because we're recording them. And the next one that we did where I went out was Mandy the doll. And that was actually, I was expecting stuff to go there, but I know other ghost hunters have gone to it and mixed reviews. Some like, yeah, you don't get anything. But while I was there, that was actually where I got beeps and responses. And at one time, part of the Mandy lore is that cameras don't work around her. She doesn't like photos. And so I brought one of my cameras, and I actually experienced that where on my chest camera, you can hear me clicking the button, but the shutter's not going. And then suddenly it's like a bunch of shutters at once. And so that was all what we caught on camera. The spookiest one, which I didn't include in the podcast, was after the Mandy shoot, where I think filming it, I probably would not have done this in normal scenario, but I think it being the last shot, I was like, I don't think we got like the good shots, and I was kind of feeling the pressure to like get results of this, where I probably pushed the buttons too far, where I was like lying underneath Mandy's case, and I was like Mandy, make me believe, and not getting any responses. Nothing happened there, and I was like, ooh, okay, well, we'll wrap it up here. And that night, and I didn't put that in the documentary just because it would have been hearsay, and I'm like, someone could say like, oh, you just made it up. I'd be like, I can't refute that. I have no evidence of this happening. But that night, it was around like 3 a.m. and I was sleeping, and then I just opened my eyes. Like at one moment, I was just like fully awake, and there was like a solid black shadow, like right off the bed. And then as soon as I opened up, it just disappeared, kind of like smoke. And you're like, oh, okay, but you're just so awake, you don't even realize what's happening. And then you like see something weird happening above my head, and then I'm like, oh, it's like me, like I'm shaking, like I'm scared. And then I remember having the thought being like, I don't know why I'm scared, I'm just lying here. And then I just stopped shaking. But I think later on I'm like, I would interpret that as Mandy being like don't mess with me, like that's like I'm proving it right now, watch it. And then I'm like, okay. So that was probably the spookiest thing that I had in the process of filming the whole documentary.
I wasn't there for that part, and I wasn't there that night either. I think I was out of town somewhere, and you didn't really tell me that much when it had happened, but I know that sounds really scary.
It's okay. Our dog was there. So.
Yeah. So you also have a special interest in other supernatural things. Was there anything else weird that has happened to you that possibly supernatural, possibly I'm thinking of the story of the boar at McLeod Lake.
Yes. Yes. So this was about 5-ish years ago now, and I was working in forestry, and we were driving right by McLeod Lake, and we were up there for a couple days. And at one point we were driving by, and we saw this thing on the side of the road. It looked almost like a coyote size, but had a super long tail. And then as we drove by it, its tail was like puffed up, and its head was almost like the shape of like a pig. And I'm trying to describe this as best as I can. And it was like smooth, almost like otter fur. And just as soon as we drove by, it like scurried up this hill, and we're like, what was, I've never seen anything quite like that. And we were joking like, we saw like the chupacabra, like it's a weird animal, we don't know what it is. And then before we were even done driving past McLeod Lake, this huge helicopter comes flying like right over the tree line, like maybe a few hundred meters. And I don't know if it's the proper name, but like a Chinook helicopter, like the ones with like two blades on it, and it goes right over our truck, and it just starts circling the lake, and we're like, oh no, what did we see? It's like some kind of, I don't know. We were then being like it's some escaped creature that they're trying to track down, but it was super weird. And yeah, to this day, I don't really know what it was. I even like remembered about it, or I even thought about it a few times and be like, what is it? Then flip through books and trying to look up like juvenile versions of animals. And
Didn't
then
you find what animal it
I
was?
think closest, the closest it is, I don't remember exactly what the name of the animal is, but it's like North America's largest aquatic mammal. It's like a martin, but it's huge and it is like the size of a coyote. I can't remember exactly what it is, but if it's anything, I think that might have been what it is. And which would be unlikely that it's in our area because it's supposed to be like way more north. So, if it's anything, it might have been that.
I wonder what the helicopter was doing.
That was weird. It's like you see a
All
weird
of the
animal.
all of the things that came together made it just a weird, eerie situation.
If I saw one or the other, I'd been like, that's weird. But just together, it kind of like compounded and made it seem worse in my head, I think.
Okay, so we've gone on a couple ghost hunts before to a lot of different places. Is there anywhere that was your favorite place to go for a ghost hunt, or that had something cool happen? Or
Yeah, for the kind of commercial ones that you can go to town and join in on, the two best ones that I think that we've been on was Banff and 108 Mile. Banff was super cool because there's such history there, and because it's such like a mountain town. Like everything is such like an expedition to get there, and so there's so many cool stories and history that come from that, and little like trading shops and stories about this. And then there's also like basically these castle buildings that are there, just super old uh, stone buildings that just look so cool, and just to walk around that is so nice. But the coolest one is definitely the 108 Ranch. So at 108 Ranch, the history of it is it's could be summed up as a murder ranch at one point. So at the time of gold rush, there was a couple living there, and gold panners would come down the road. They would let them go out gold pan. This is a very abridged version. They would let them go out gold pan, come back, and when they would come back with their gold, they would kill them, throw them in the pond, and do it again. And because it was such a wild time, it would just be like person after person after person, and eventually I can't remember the exact number, but it's something like 50 bodies I think they pulled out of this pond where they were storing them. But today it is a historical site that you can go visit, kind of like Barkerville, where it's all the buildings were restored, some were moved to be closer together. And
well, I liked the 108 Mile Ranch. I thought it was really cool, and they did the tour at nighttime, which was a lot of fun. And we went in and we had like our EMF readers and like whatever else Daniel has for ghost hunting. And there was a big group of people, but we were able to go into all of the buildings, and there was a story for each building that had like maybe one building had a family that lived in it and of spirits, and one building, the big barn upstairs, you weren't actually allowed to go into it because there was a ghost who would get angry, and I can't remember what he would do, but there were some pictures where you can see him in it, and he's like a big, like, scary looking dude. And he stayed in the upstairs part, so we weren't allowed to go up there. But I think they did a really good job, and it was a lot of fun and also quite respectful, I feel like, because they didn't want to anger any of the spirits or anything. So I agree. I like the 108 Mile Ranch. And if you want to look into the story of the 108 Mile Ranch, I believe her name is Agnes McPhee. And there's a graphic novel, and you can just look it up on the internet about what she did, because she was the main perpetrator of the crimes, and she would harbor, no, not harbor. She would basically have people chained up in her house to lure the miners in. It's freaky stuff, dude. Yeah. And then I also loved the Banff one because there's so much history that you learn about. You're not just learning like about what a haunted place is. It's like people started moving here at this time and this happened, or there's this old trading post where there's some supernatural things happening, but there's also a huge history behind like when settlers started coming. And then there's the Fairmont Hotel, which is like a huge building that like I've heard several ghost stories at, and it's like really multifaceted, and it's really interesting to listen to. Do you have any suggestions for people who would like to get into ghost hunting?
Yes. So most towns will have a ghost hunting group or some kind of group. Usually it'll be on Facebook. And that's usually the best way to get in contact with people, find out areas in your town where you can go. I think when I started doing the podcast, there was nothing in Prince George. It didn't exist. And in the last, I'd say 2 years, it has just exploded where there is a group, and then you can tell there's such an appetite for it, because as soon as it got a little bit of traction, it just exploded. Like, I think there's over like 1,000 people in it now, and it's always active with people being like, oh, I want to check out this area. Oh, does anyone have this equipment? Or like, oh, we're going out here on this weekend. And there's always someone willing to just jump in or be able to take someone under their wing and just go do this really cool thing that you can do. It's probably the most entry friendly way you can do it.
Cool. We haven't done any really in Prince George, but there is a Prince George ghost tour now downtown, which is pretty cool. Have you heard of any ghost hunting tropes that you think are a little bit silly?
Yes. There are some pieces of equipment that I would not recommend to be in your base kit. I think one of them is the spirit box, and I'll probably get some kickback on this. But what the spirit box does is it cycles through all of the radio stations really quickly. And so when you play it while you're asking questions, and so if you're asking questions like, is there anyone here with me? Is there anyone in the room that would like to communicate? And you would hear words and voices that would come through the spirit box. And I'm very skeptical about it, because if you play the radio station on random long enough, you're going to get words that are going to come through. And I think you need to take it very much with a grain of salt. Like I would not consider that. We actually had one on their show, so I was using it. And even then, it's like very much grain of salt. Like if anything comes through, I wouldn't trust it for face value. I would say you would have to kind of do it for a long time. And if you somehow keep getting responses that are accurate to your questions, be like, okay, then I would look a bit closer. But I think it's very important to take grain of salt with ghost hunting. A lot of it can be explained, like such as EMF. So EMF, electromagnetic frequency, originally is an electrician's tool. So if you just go into a house and you start running around with an EMF, you will absolutely like get it off the chart sometimes and get blips here and there. And it's because wires run in the building and lights run and microwaves work.
Yeah, there's electricity everywhere.
Yeah. So I think with everything, it needs to be a grain of salt, and you need to use everything like very smart.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't just assume that everything is some kind of paranormal activity. That makes sense. I wanted to ask if you had any other paranormal things that have happened to you outside of Phantom Rivers.
Not a lot, which I'll admit, even though I think it is so cool to hunt for like Bigfoot and ghosts and aliens. I think all of that stuff is super cool to be involved in. Not very much I have been specifically involved in myself. I mean, like, there's a couple weird things that happen here and there that can't quite be explained. I'd say one of the particularly weird ones was, I think when we were driving through North Chaco, and we had to pull over because we saw something weird in the sky, and it was a super starry night, and we like pulled over actually because something didn't seem right, and it ended up looking like in all the stars there was a big triangle where they were missing. And I think it's like, what looks weird? It's like, oh, that's why, because there's missing stars right in the sky above us. And I feel like at that point, it's like, what do you do? What am I going to do about missing stars other than just look at it and be like, wow, that's weird. And then we just moved on at that point.
Yeah. I find that there's a lot of unexplainable things that kind of happen around, maybe at home or just driving around, and there's nothing really you can do about it, so I just move on with my life.
You hear that in ghost encounters all the time, where someone will have this horrifying thing that happens to them, like they see something that they can't explain, whether it's like they'll wake up and then see like shadow people, or they go to their window and something weird is outside and then it runs away, and then they just go back to sleep because what can you do about it at that point? It's like you see this wild thing and then it goes away and your brain just kind of shuts down, and it's like what can you do? You just go back to sleep. I got work at 8 a.m. I still got to pop in and clock in, so
I actually had an experience like that, and it was when I was away for a work trip, so I wasn't with you. And I've told you this story, but so the listeners can hear. I was away for work, and we were in Terrace, and we were driving to Stewart and Hyder in the morning. So we wanted to get up early because we had to do some filming during the day. And so we got to our really nice hotel in Terrace, and all I wanted to do was go to bed because I had to get up early the next morning. And we were up traveling all day. And so I showered and then basically went straight to bed after that. And I fell asleep, and then I just woke up really suddenly, like my eyes just like sprang open. And then I looked up, and right in front of me, all you could see was a sliver of light coming through the bottom of the door. And then something black was like, it looked like the shape of a woman was floating in front of me. And so I just like opened my eyes, and I was looking at her. And then I looked at her for a second. She floated away into the abyss. And I knew I had to get up early in the morning, so I just closed my eyes and turned around and went back to sleep. That's my encounter with something. I don't know what it was. Or if I was still sleeping and dreaming or something. I don't know.
If you were to have an encounter anywhere, Hyder, Alaska is super cool.
It wasn't in Hyder. It was in Terrace.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the next day we did go to Stewart, and we were in this really, really old building. I don't know what it was an old hotel, like from the 1900s, that was a big hotel, like huge, and everything was run down. Like you go inside and there's like stuff missing from places, and you could tell like it once was a grand place where like people like would come from all over the world and they would stay there. But when we were there, it was so run down. We were going through the hallways, and there was like dolls with their heads pulled off and writing on the walls. And then my coworker and I were going through one room, and the owner of the hotel, their child lived there in this one like room that had a kitchen and stuff in it. But it was like really creepy. So we're going through this room, and we both noticed there was some pills, like allergy pills on the table. I don't know why we both noticed that. And then we kept walking through the hotel, which was like looked really haunted. And every turn we would take, basically there would be like weird stuff. There'd be like walls torn down and writing on the other walls, and then we went back to the room and the pills were gone. So we both looked at each other and we're like, the pills are gone. Oh my gosh, you saw that, right? And we're both like, yeah, I saw that. And so we were like, there's something happening here. Oh my gosh, there's a ghost. And then we mentioned it to the two other people we were with afterwards, and they were like, oh yeah, I moved those. So we just got ourselves really hyped up and scared, and then it turned out to actually just be someone else did move them.
It's just a guy that just lives there. It's just taking his things.
I would not live there. It was like the most haunted looking place I've ever been in. I would be so scared every single night. Yeah. So sometimes I can scare myself, but sometimes I'll just turn around and ignore it, which apparently is what people do.
Not everything has to be looked at. You can just do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you have a story about when you were young and you lived at your parents' house and there was the computer room in the basement?
Yeah. This story is, I don't even know how old I was. Would have been like, I don't know, grade 4 or something. And the computer room was downstairs, and we had this super old rocking chair in the room that's always kind of like just behind the computer in some places. And this time I was on the computer, I don't know, doing Neopets or whatever. And I remember being like, all right, gonna go upstairs. And then I like try and roll back my chair, but it was like locked in. And I turn around and the rocking chair was pushed right up behind at an angle to the computer chair where it was like locked in. And I remember being like, whoa, like this being freaked out. And I just like slipped out of the chair and just like stepped over the chair, over the rocking chair, and just like, oh, go upstairs. But then, yeah, thinking about it later, I'm like, there's no way that could have got there, because I would have to be in the chair, pushed against the computer, and then somehow reach over and grab this rocking chair and like pull it in. So that was always something that was weird. But I don't know. The mystery of the moved rocking chair.
So when I was a kid, I lived in a house that was really old. It was a heritage home. And my sister and I had bedrooms upstairs, and it was just our bedroom. So the stairs went in the middle, and then to the left was my sister's room, and to the right was my room. And people always swear that that house was haunted. And I had this doll my granny gave me. It was like one of those like porcelain kind of dolls where it would lay down and its eyes would close. And it was just this doll that I had. And it would always be sitting outside of my bedroom. And I would always be like, get mad at my sister and be like, why are you trying to scare me? You put this doll outside of my room. And she's like, I did not put that doll outside of your room, I swear. But she's 6 years older than me. And I don't trust her because she's my older sister. So I'd be like, you're lying to me. There's definitely like, you definitely put this doll outside of my room. And it would happen like literally all the time. And so more recently I'd be like, why did you always put that doll outside of my room? Like, that was so mean of you. And she's like, Meagan, I swear on like grandma that I did not put that doll outside of your room. And maybe now it feels a bit more like she's telling the truth. 'Cause that was an old house and you never know what had happened before, but nothing malicious ever happened. It was just this doll would show up outside of my room.
Because that house, it just got bought like just a couple years ago, and now it's already for sale again.
That's true. It's been for sale a lot since we moved out of it.
It's like people don't stay there very long.
Yeah. It's such a cute house, and I love that house, and I would live there. But yeah, one time my cousins came to stop in and say hello, and they pulled up, and they thought they saw my sister standing in the window of her room, and there was like someone standing in the window upstairs in her room looking out, and they came and knocked on the door. And no one was home.
That's creepy.
I don't know. So there was definitely something going on there. It was a really old house, and
it's also in an old part of town too.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know.
Okay.
It's not cool, but I don't know. I don't really mind, actually. I didn't have any bad experiences growing up there, so yeah.
With that doll, I remember I had a Furby. I know it's battery operated.
Furbies are so creepy.
I don't know how those things run. Furbies need to be studied on how those batteries work and last in those things. Because I remember I had a Furby and they would blink and talk and their mouths would move and like they had these beaks so they would like chatter. And I had one and it was like up on a shelf. And I remember at night, every like couple months, even though I had this thing for years and years and it's been like dead for years and years, you'll just hear like the eyes will just like click. You can hear it blink, and it would just be like on this shelf up with like these other stuffy toys, and so you would just kind of lie there, and then you would just hear the click, and then you'd be like, all right, and then just be like, don't move and just stay awake for like half an hour and then maybe fall asleep again. And only a couple times where it started doing its like voice lines, but because it's so dead, it would just be like the middle of the night and you'll hear the click and then it'll just be like and then the mouth would be like tick, 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 and just stop. So I don't know why I just didn't take it out. I could have just taken it out of my room.
I would have drop kicked that thing so fast.
I couldn't even reach it. It was
It'd
like
be
on a
out.
high shelf. I couldn't take it out if I wanted to at the night.
That sounds absolutely terrifying. I would
Yeah.
I would go into my parents' room and be like, I'm scared, something's happening.
But you know what? Furbies were still cool. I
I
still
never-
didn't want to get rid of it.
I never had a Furby. And then once, because we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so once we kind of were more comfortable, I was a little bit older, and I saw Furbies, and I was like, those things are really creepy. I do not want a Furby. So let's get into some pop culture things, because we've been watching some scary movies. We just saw Long Legs, and it was creepy and definitely had some paranormal aspects to it. Do you have like a top 3 or 5 list of paranormal movies?
As cheesy as they are,
Wait, let me guess.
okay,
The Evil Dead movies.
I like it.
It's
That-
not in
I
your
was
top.
thinking of the ones that like really creep me out, but if we're going beyond creepy,
It's
I do like Evil Dead.
What's your favorites?
Of what? Just like scary movies?
Well, paranormal.
Paranormal? I was gonna say, like, even though some of them are kind of cheesy, I think the Conjuring series like creep me out.
The Conjuring movie was actually legitimately scary to me, and I feel like I'm pretty solid and I don't get scared a lot during movies, but The Conjuring was like really scary.
I think the idea of like demons or malicious ghosts like really creep me out. So I think it gets me. I'm the prime audience for The Conjuring. Which, like, as good as Long Legs was,
Shout out to Yanni.
yeah. I don't think this is a spoiler, but it's kind of like a cop mystery. It's like a crime mystery for a lot of it. And even though it was really creepy, I don't think cop mysteries creep me out. Like it's not for me. So as good as it was, and it was creepy, I did not think it was like scary.
Yeah. So what are your favorite ones though? You love, what's the one where they're accidentally Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
I've never seen that.
Oh my gosh, I thought you have.
No.
No, the other one where it's like from the point of view Leslie Vernon or whatever.
Oh, yeah, Leslie Vernon. The something story. What was it called?
Okay, you just tell me what your list is.
I don't. You know, I'm so bad at pop culture things.
Well, it's just what do you like?
But we're talking about scary movies.
Yeah, what scary movies do you like?
I think you like The Evil Dead.
I do like The Evil Dead.
And you do talk about Dale and Tucker sometimes.
I only talk about it because I thought you liked it, but you haven't even seen it.
I've
So
never seen it.
okay, one that I love is Nope, the Jordan Peele movie. Yeah,
That's a good one.
it's so good because I love like aliens and stuff.
I think I watched Signs way too young.
I've
That's
never
my-
seen Signs.
That's my one movie where I'm like, I watched that way too young. I should not have been watching Signs at the age I did.
Maybe we should watch it. There's some M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong movies that I would like to see because I actually haven't seen a lot of his movies. And Signs is one, right? Signs is directed by him.
Yeah.
Okay. There was another one, Children of the Corn. Is that?
I have not seen that.
I have not seen that.
The Hills of Eyes, that's one I saw. That, even though I wouldn't say like, oh, it's scary, it's pretty messed up. Like,
I've
it's
never
one
seen
of the
that.
things you can watch, be like, wow, I really Would not want that to be me.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks.
I have no idea what happens in it. So it's another one we can add to the list. Do you know what I know that you do love?
Which one?
Stephen King. Like almost anything Stephen King. Because you always read the books and then watch the movies afterwards.
I actually love The Shining. The book was one of the best books I've read, even though I love Stephen King stories. I don't like his writing, so I power through it and then I watch the movie. But Shining is the exception. I love the Shining book. It's so creepy, and there's so many more things that they didn't throw in there. Like, I think right in the end, where in the movie he just kind of freezes to death. In the book, there's at one point where he's like trying to save Danny, and so to like stop himself, he like hits his face in with a hammer enough times where it's just mush. But then out of the mush, all the ghosts of the hotels just like, it's like changing all these different faces of like all the people trapped in the hotel as he's like chasing Danny and his wife.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's scary.
It is.
I saw something on TikTok. I don't know if it was a TikTok. I saw something on the internet where they were talking about, it just said, I know that Stephen King hated the Shining movie, but the idea that there's like in the insidious nature of like the patriarchy and the insidious nature of the patriarchy is scarier than just having a haunted hotel or like a scary house. Something to think about. So, where can people find Phantom Rivers?
You can find Phantom Rivers at Storyhive YouTube by typing in Storyhive Phantom Rivers, and you will find all the episodes there.
Amazing. Got anything else you're working on?
Ooh, not at the moment, but I do already have it lined up in my mind that if there is ever a season 2 of Phantom Rivers, I want to track down a group of Bigfoot hunters in Alberta, because they have a huge Bigfoot hunting community there, and follow them on a Bigfoot hunt. And I think that is what season 2 is going to be, if I ever get lucky enough to get a second grant for that.
Amazing. That would be very scary, and I would not want to go with you because I'm scared of Bigfoot. Well, thanks for being on Scary Stories from the Rez.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope everybody enjoyed this episode, and have a good night.